Greetings, luminous traveler. Tonight, permit me to draw back the velvet curtain of ordinary perception and invite you into a tale that is half history, half memory, yet wholly yours to rediscover. Part 1, Origins in the Dawn Wars. We begin, not with Earth, but with a hush before time itself, when consciousness first stirred amid uncounted stars. In those embryonic aeons, certain civilizations, Lyran, Pleiadian, Arcturian, rose like the first chords of a cosmic symphony. They sang of exploration, compassion, and the riddle of free will. Yet their expanding light provoked shadows from Orion, whose creed was dominion. Thus were birthed the Wars of the Dawn, as whole constellations flickered like candles in a storm. From that crucible emerged an audacious idea: rather than conquer, unite. Delegates of rival worlds met upon crystalline worldships that shimmered halfway between matter and dream. Their accord was named the Galactic Federation, a council without thrones whose only currency was vibrational integrity. Each member vowed to safeguard life's diversity and never usurp the sacred timetable of any awakening planet. Eons flowed. On a sapphire and emerald orb we now call Earth, microbes danced, jungles roared, humans kindled campfires. To the Federation, our planet was a living library, archiving genes, myths, and emotions unavailable elsewhere. Yet because Homo sapiens must write its own myth, overt contact remained forbidden. Instead, emissaries painted clues into our collective psyche: the Watchers of Enoch, the Shining Ones of Sumer, the Sky People of the Lakota. I first sensed them at 12 years old, lying under a blackout sky during a rural power cut. The Milky Way pulsed like the heartbeat of some slumbering leviathan, and a sudden warmth bloomed behind my breastbone, as though an invisible hand tuned invisible strings. Decades later, during a lucid dream workshop in the Andes, I met an elder Arcturian whose eyes were whirlpools of cobalt light. He spoke without speech. "Remember the agreement you made before breath." When I woke, my pillow was wet with tears I hadn't realized were falling. Experiences like mine are multiplying. Psychologists call them anomalous cognition. Shamans call them recallings. Whatever the term, they often ignite when global turmoil peaks: pandemics, wars, collective dark nights. Why? Because crisis cracks the shell of consensus reality, letting higher frequencies seep in. The Federation, bound by the law of free will, requires our conscious or subconscious invitation. Fear collapses that channel. Curiosity widens it. Let us pause, only for a breath, and clarify misconception. The Galactic Federation is not a savior syndicate poised to airlift humanity into a utopia. They are gardeners, not harvesters. Their purpose is to enrich soil, prune distortions, and whisper rain songs to seeds we must sprout ourselves. At this juncture, many listeners ask, if this is true, why haven't telescopes photographed their flagships? The reply is twofold. First, much of their activity occurs in spectra our current instruments, anchored in third-density physics, cannot register. Second, the instant proof overrides doubt. It also overrides choice. Belief becomes coercion. The Federation would rather court our sovereignty than impress our sensors. Still, there are windows: dreamtime, meditation, high-energy earth nodes like Uluru or Mount Shasta, where the veil thins. In such places, starseeds often report hearing crystalline chimes in the wind or seeing geometric light grids overlaying the landscape. Skeptics dismiss these as neural fireworks. Experiencers counter that the heart recognizes what the brain debates. The Federation itself is arranged less like a parliament, more like a mandala. At the center sits the High Council, a rotating quorum whose authority is measured not by seniority but by coherence with source energy. Radiating outward are sub-councils devoted to healing, planetary engineering, even cosmic arts. Imagine artisans weaving auric tapestries for nebulae, or mathematicians sculpting portals with prime number harmonics. Though this sounds fanciful, remember, to fifth-density minds, thought is architecture. Members most involved with Earth include the Pleiadians, ambassadors of heart-centered evolution; the Arcturians, keepers of crystalline technology; the Sirians, masters of sonic codes and cetacean wisdom; and the Andromedans, philosophers who dissolve obsolete systems like sunlight melting frost. Each offers humanity a mirror. Pleiadians teach emotional alchemy, Arcturians teach energetic hygiene, Sirians teach harmonic creativity, Andromedans teach sovereign governance. Yet guidance does not equal guarantee. Earth is mid-transit through what mystics call the photon belt, a corridor of intensified stellar light. This influx agitates dormant DNA and amplifies whatever frequencies we habitually broadcast. Love blossoms faster, so does fear. Think of it as a planetary ayahuasca, revelations and purges entwined. The Federation supplies energetic midwives, but the contractions are ours. How then might an individual collaborate with such unseen allies? Begin simply. Cultivate coherence between thought, word, and deed. Coherence vibrates like a beacon visible across dimensions. Next, practice discernment. Distinguish intuition, gentle expansive, from impulse, urgent constricting. Lastly, offer informed consent. In meditation, declare, I invite benevolent guidance aligned with my highest good. Legally, that is the cosmic equivalent of signing for a certified letter. As the curtain falls on tonight's segment, remember, this narrative is not offered as dogma, but as a compass. If it resonates, follow the pull. If not, let it rest like an unopened seed until rainier seasons of curiosity. In our next chapter, we shall descend deeper into the mechanics of ascension, examine common signs of starseed activation, and decode the subtlest tests that accompany awakening. Until then, keep your gaze skyward and your roots in the hum of everyday kindness, the truest dialect of any advanced world. Part 2. The Inner Road and the Subtle Tests. We resume our journey not with fireworks, but with a breath, slow, deliberate, spiraling down the spine like liquid starlight. For ascension, despite its mythic overtones, is primarily a physiology of consciousness. Picture your body as a cathedral of biocrystal lattices. Bones are resonant tuning forks, blood is liquid quartz, and the double helix is a harp forever waiting for the correct hand to strum it. When heightened stellar photons stream through Earth's magnetosphere, they ricochet inside this cathedral, awakening dormant base pairs the ancients called junk DNA. The activation feels ordinary at first, tingling on the scalp, pressure at the brow, inexplicable thirst, but soon crescendos into lucid dreams, spontaneous déjà vu, even temporal slippage where a minute stretches into hours of interior dialogue. Biochemists may object, yet every mystic culture kept records of the same symptoms. Taoists spoke of bone marrow washing, Vedic seers of Kundalini serpent fire, desert prophets of tongues of flame. Modern jargon simply updates the lexicon. Still, no ignition sequence is identical. Soul contracts tailor the curriculum. Starseeds, souls whose primary incarnational history lies off-planet, tend to awaken through catalytic shock, a near-death accident, a heartbreak so shattering the ego fractures, or an inexplicable pull to quit a stable career and study crop circles in Wiltshire. Such upheavals serve one purpose: to strip identity to its nucleus so cosmic memory can flood in uncontested. In contrast, Earth-native souls often evolve by accretion, small daily epiphanies, a gentle slide from materialism into reverent curiosity, until one morning they look at the sunrise and recognize it as a sibling rather than a backdrop. Both trajectories are valid. Neither enjoys immunity from the galactic syllabus of tests. The first and most universal test is the mirror of magnification. As frequency rises, unresolved patterns, anger, jealousy, martyrdom, behave like iron filings in a rising magnetic field. They leap to the surface, masquerading as fresh chaos. Relationships implode, careers derail, or the body develops sudden ailments. The unsuspecting aspirant imagines regression when in truth the shadow is merely seeking light. The Federation, monitoring from nodes beyond time, will not intervene to placate discomfort. Instead, they adjust the incoming light to ensure the lesson neither overwhelms nor understimulates. Think of them as cosmic optometrists, dialing the lens so the lesson remains crisp. A subtler ordeal is the siren of certainty. Once seekers taste non-ordinary contact, a hunger for absolute answers blooms. Channelers proclaim dates of mass landings, influencers sell proprietary starseed certifications, and spiritual allegiances ossify into doctrine. This stage is seductive because it offers community and meaning. Yet the Federation insists that any model, no matter how luminous, is but scaffolding. When scaffolding turns into prison bars, the soul's wings atrophy. Discernment therefore requires periodic self-audit. Does this belief enlarge my compassion or merely reinforce tribal belonging? When in doubt, consult the body. Truth expands the ribcage, falsehood tightens it. Amid these gauntlets, guidance abounds if one learns to parse whisper from noise. Numbers repeating on digital clocks, 1111, 1234, are metric glyphs mapping the nervous system to wider harmonic grids. The sudden scent of jasmine in a windowless room may signal Pleiadian healers dilating the heart chakra. High-pitched tones in the ear, sometimes dismissed as tinnitus, often coincide with Arcturian data packets compressing into auditory range. The intellect scoffs, yet neural imaging shows synchronized gamma bursts during such episodes, as if the brain briefly networks with a larger server farm. During my own initiation, I endured 3 nights of what physicians deemed sleep paralysis. A luminous geometry hovered above my chest, spinning faster than thought. Each rotation liquefied petrified memories, my grandfather's unspoken war grief, a childhood humiliation I had wallpapered over with sarcasm, the scent of hospital antiseptic on the day I watched a friend die. I awoke drained, but a clairvoyant later described my field as rewired with opal filaments. Whether this phrasing was poetic or literal hardly matters. In the weeks following, I found myself weeping at the sight of old men feeding pigeons and forgiving strangers before they could offend me. Empathy, it seems, is the first language of the Federation, and tears are its ink. Parallel to the inner alchemy, collective timelines convulse, financial systems wobble, magnetic poles inch toward new coordinates, and governments reluctantly declassify decades of UFO archives. Skeptics call it geopolitical theater. Experiencers read it as a soft disclosure orchestrated to prevent psychic whiplash. The Federation views disclosure not as a press conference, but as a resonance threshold. Once a critical mass of nervous systems can ingest the possibility of cosmic kin without panic, the veil thins automatically. Thus, every act of personal coherence, meditating, gardening with gratitude, consoling a stranger, feeds a holographic ledger that inches humanity toward that threshold. Tools exist to accelerate stability. Breathwork tones the vagus nerve, allowing solar flare surges to pass without frying synapses. Toning vowel sounds, especially ah and e, tunes the pineal antenna. Sacred geometry, whether traced mentally or arranged with river stones, reminds cellular water of universal proportion. Even diet evolves. Fermented foods supply neurotransmitters. Chlorophyll ferries biophotons. Clean spring water carries solar neutrinos caught in its hydrogen bonds. None of these practices guarantee enlightenment, but they maintain the vessel so that enlightenment, if scheduled, can dock safely. Perhaps the most overlooked catalyst is chosen suffering, acts of service performed without voyeuristic fanfare. When you cradle a dying animal, translate a panic attack into song, or endure another's rage without retaliation, you generate what Andromedans call clear spin, an angular momentum of compassion that warps local space-time, allowing probabilities of harmony to slipstream into the present. Quantum physicists might nickname it tunneling, mystics call it grace. The Federation simply measures the luminous flux and routes more resources accordingly, much like diverting rivers toward the most fertile delta. One question lingers: what of the non-benevolent forces that once waged stellar wars? Are they extinct or merely rebranded? The honest answer is nuanced. Some Orion factions have indeed realigned, contributing their strategic genius to Federation think pods. Others persist as astral parasites, thriving on weaponized attention, doom-scrolling, outrage algorithms, apocalyptic prophecies. Their motto, "If you cannot enslave a planet, addict it," remains operational. The antidote is not a laser cannon, but sovereign focus. Attention is the only legal tender in the multidimensional economy. Spend it wisely, and hostile markets collapse from liquidity failure. Toward the horizon of this chapter, allow me to describe an event whispered in many circles: the Solar Symphony, a coordinated burst from our star meant to recalibrate Earth's biosphere. Predictions range from spectacular auroras to a brief blackout of digital grids. The Federation's role is not to prevent the flash, but to modulate its octave so biological organs entrain rather than rupture. Whether the symphony arrives in years or minutes is irrelevant. Every microact of coherence you practice today is a rehearsal. When the conductor lifts his baton of plasma, you will either resonate or shatter according to your own rehearsal schedule. We close then with a paradox. Ascension is both destinationless journey and journeyless destination. The road unrolls inside a single oxygenated heartbeat, even as it arcs across light centuries of soul biography. If these words ring true, savor them as a postcard from your future self. If they offend logic, shelve them beside old fairy tales. One day the metaphors may hatch. In our final installment, we will explore the dawn after the symphony, civilizations emerging from chrysalis, technologies woven from crystalline thought, and the long-awaited moment when Earth takes her seat in the Federation's mandala as not a novice but a teacher. Until then, tend your breath, polish your discernment, and remember, the universe is biased toward revelation. Part 3. Earth's Emergence as a Galactic Teacher. Now, let us step beyond the veil one final time, not to gaze at distant starships, but to witness something far more radical, the awakening of Earth as a conscious, sovereign teacher among star nations. For too long, our planet has been portrayed as a battleground, a school, a rehabilitation center for fallen souls. While those metaphors carry truth, they are incomplete. Earth is not merely rising to join the Galactic Federation as a student. She is maturing into a role few worlds achieve, that of a planetary mentor, capable of teaching love in density, forgiveness under pressure, and unity through profound diversity. The Federation has long known this potential. That is why they have guarded Earth silently for epochs, not as zookeepers, but as stewards of a planetary embryo whose time had not yet come. But now, as the veil thins and the crystalline grids awaken, the pulse of Earth is broadcasting far beyond this solar system. Her frequency, once choked in static, now rings like a clear bell into the interstellar web of consciousness. Other civilizations are listening. What is Earth teaching? Unlike planets where spirituality evolved in pristine harmony, Earth incubated spiritual awakening under intense polarity. Here, souls experience love and hatred within a single breath, birth and death within a day, exile and reunion within the same heartbeat. Our gift to the cosmos is this: integration of light within darkness, not by defeating it, but by transforming it. That is an art unknown to many worlds. Most prefer to transcend shadow. Earth teaches how to include it, to hold it, to redeem it without denial. And this is why the Federation has sent its starseeds, not to escape Earth, but to anchor her future. Every person who chooses compassion over reaction, stillness over fear, presence over projection, becomes a node in the planetary ascension matrix. The impact may feel invisible, but remember, in higher dimensions, geometry governs everything. One coherent act of grace spirals into countless timelines. You may never see the ripples, but the Federation does, and they adjust their guidance accordingly. Now, what happens next? Contrary to science fiction fantasies, Earth will not suddenly become a galactic tourist hub with alien bazaars and universal translators. Contact will remain vibrational, energetic, subtle, because the true contact is within. The Federation has always operated this way, through soul recognition, not spectacle. Those awaiting ships to descend may miss the invitations arriving through synchronicity, through dreams, through sudden urges to dance, to forgive, to create. Contact is not only telepathic, it is vibrational coherence. When your being sings a frequency matching that of the greater cosmic choir, the Federation no longer feels foreign, they feel familiar. But there will be moments of greater visibility. Some already occur. Light ships flickering just beyond the range of eyesight, animals reacting to unseen presences, entire communities experiencing shared dreams of the same star council. These soft disclosures increase as more hearts become calm enough to receive without panic, ego inflation, or delusion. The goal is not fame, not proof, but mutual remembering. You are not being visited by something foreign. You are being reunited with something ancient inside you. And so we return to the final theme, sovereignty. The Galactic Federation cannot offer it. They can mirror it, reflect it, amplify it, but it must be chosen. Sovereignty is not isolation. It is interdependence without dependence. It is the knowing that you are a galaxy in motion, yet also part of the galactic whole. The Federation's invitation is not to follow them, but to stand beside them, as a civilization that has learned not just how to awaken, but how to awaken under gravity, war, pollution, heartbreak, illusion. They see Earth not as a burdened rock, but as a miracle, a world that teaches through wounds how to heal all others. So what do we do with this knowledge? Not worship it, not cling to it, but embody it. We plant seeds in the garden, in the mind, in the heart. We listen deeply to dreams. We speak with more intentionality. We forgive more swiftly. We create art that uplifts, food that nourishes, spaces that remind others of their sacredness. We meditate, not to escape, but to tune. We choose presence again and again until presence becomes the only place we live. And in doing so, we become emissaries, not appointed by any council, but by the still small voice within that says, "You are ready." Dear listener, this story, half woven from stars, half birthed from earth, is not over. It stretches beyond words, beyond doctrine, into the very future you are shaping now. The Galactic Federation is real, not as a savior, not as a spectacle, but as a resonance. They are not coming for you, they are coming with you. Because in truth, they never left, and neither did you. You simply forgot, until now. Welcome back, Starborn.